What's going on, everybody? It's Core here, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. It has been brought to my attention again recently that people, specifically the Need for Speed community, are still blaming Electronic Arts on the closure of Ghost Games, and they're still defending Ghost Games and stuff like that. I've just about had enough of this shit. It's been brought to my attention again thanks to a video, but that basically somebody made a whole video explaining why it's EA's fault. I'm not gonna go into that any further. And also by a tweet that I saw that closing Ghost Games was a mistake. In today's video, I'm gonna set the record straight and I'm gonna explain why it wasn't a mistake. And in order for people to understand this, because I feel that it's important that I finally, if it's not me, then just, you know, I want this message to be brought across and for the Need for Speed community to understand what's happening and why it's stupid to keep defending Ghost Games and blaming EA for everything. And in order to do that, I decided to go back right to the very basics of this whole thing, which means nothing to do with Need for Speed, nothing to do with IPs or franchises or crunch or anything like that, just the bare bones as a company. Alright, so here's the rundown. EA is a company, right? Everybody knows that. They're a company. Yes, I agree to an extent, but they're a company. Now, you don't need a degree in economics or, I don't know, finance to know that the sole goal of a company, regardless of what they do, is to generate profits. Including EA. Admittedly, some of the ways that they go about generating these profits are a bit scummy, but it's a company and there needs to be revenue. Now, EA as a company has subsidiaries, which is fine. They're a big company, and they have lots of subsidiaries working for them. One of these subsidiaries is Ghost Games. Now, when a company has subsidiaries, those subsidiaries also create products, just like the main company itself. And if that product is not generating a profit or is receiving negative reception and attention in the public, then that company that owns the subsidiary has the full right to close the subsidiary down, or at least dial back the work that they do. EA own Ghost Games, and they still do. Even though they're no longer called Ghost Games, they have Ghost Games as a subsidiary. Ghost Games is given a lot of money to develop a Need for Speed game. EA notices that despite their hard work, the product that their subsidiary Ghost Games is developing isn't doing well. Need for Speed 2015 got below average reviews, Need for Speed Payback had below average to bad reviews, and Need for Speed Heat, while it got off to a good start, eventually people started noticing all the problems, and they didn't eventually think that highly of Need for Speed Heat. So, when you're a company, and you've had this studio now working for you for 7 years, developing crap product after crap product, there's no point in keeping them going any longer, because they can't generate the revenue that you're asking them to. So to save yourself some money and your ass, you close them and you hand the job in hand, which is development of Need for Speed, to a different subsidiary that you have more confidence in. In this case, Criterion Games. Let me explain something else as well. If you look at the review scores for the Criterion developed Need for Speed game, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 got acclaim all across the board. People love that game for a good reason, because it's a good game. I think the Need for Speed community has gotten so backed up with customization and story and nighttime racing and all this arbitrary bullshit that they've forgotten that at the end of the day, Need for Speed is just a video game. And the whole point of a video game is to be fun, a nice escapism for people, which, by the way, we'll come back to this point that Need for Speed is a video game in a future video. The whole point of a Need for Speed game is to entertain, because it's a piece of entertainment media. Criterion's Need for Speed games have been entertaining and fun. Most Wanted 2012 as well got tons of positive reviews when it came out. And even though many people hate that game, in my opinion, blindly, simply because of the fact that it's called Most Wanted, it was a good game. That's the whole keyword there, game. It's a good game. Then Ghost Games comes along. Need for Speed Rivals, even though it got positive reviews, everyone pretty much immediately caught wind of the fact how buggy the game is and how sometimes it can be unplayable. Need for Speed 2015 was admirable, but it was patchy and it needed all of these things fixing in it. The handling was terrible. The graphics were too dark, even though they were good. Need for Speed Payback was just a disaster. It was a terrible game. I will continue to say that. And Need for Speed Heat, again, it was okay. It was actually verging on pretty good, but it was incredibly flawed, and EA just no longer saw the point in having Ghost Games. You know, as a company, you own the subsidiary, you keep giving them more and more chances, and they keep making crappy and crappy products. It's not viable for you to keep them going. And also, I want to say something about the other part of blaming EA, which is how bad the games are is EA's fault. No. And here's why. EA, as a company, yes, they do own the Need for Speed IP. It's their property. But the only thing that EA does is business decisions, i.e. microtransactions, loot boxes, or surprise mechanics, as they prefer to call them, and publishing, printing discs, getting the game released on, you know, electronic platforms, Steam and Origin and stuff like that. And that's it. The development of the game is handled entirely by the studio making the game. And in this case, that's Ghost Games, and they didn't handle that quite well. There are features in the recent Need for Speed game that perplexed everybody. How can a AAA video game made by this giant publisher, EA, or rather, this giant publisher in the sense that they have given the studio so much money to make this game, how can it have such basic problems like car balancing, the same car being overpowered for 4 years, and the not having the ability to equip the same rims front and back, no proper multiplayer in any of the games except 2015. You know, EA has nothing to do with that. And when EA notices that a studio isn't doing their job correctly, they're going to close them. Now, obviously, I know that EA has done some pretty unfair closures of studios in the past. I get that. But in Ghost Games' case, as much as no one is willing to admit this, they did the right thing. I have no doubt that Ghost Games is full of talented people, and I feel really bad that they got shut down like that, but it was the wrong people at the wrong time, and they just didn't work together all that well, and that was evident in the games that they produced. So EA, with Ghost Games, in my opinion, did the right thing by shutting them down, and I hope that Criterion is able to clean up the mess that Ghost left and give us a proper Need for Speed game next year. So that's going to be about it for this video, this very controversial video, I imagine it will be. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Also, check me out on Twitter. There will be a link in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video.